Welcome to another exciting episode of KD Custom Woodworking. Now, I'm polishing, and I'm going to say this out loud without getting beat. It's got to be the crappiest job going, polishing, the most thankless. You see the way I'm dressed here. I don't have a polish, like if I was doing this all the time, I'd probably have a polishing table with a drain and running water and whatever, so I'm just doing this as a one-of, as most people would. Polishing, I've been doing it 25 years, and I've been doing concrete about 20 off and on. It's the most grueling job ever. When I say that, it's most, you gotta be disciplined. Like right now, we're gonna start with the 50. We're gonna take this up to about 200. I'll explain in the narrative. And then after that, we're going to fill all the pinholes. And I'm going to show you here on the concrete, because I read something there the other day. They said concrete was out of fashion. I went, what? It's not the trendsetters. Huh? And I think a lot has to do with a lot of the designers. They would rather just pick up the phone and call some granite place or, you know, get a quartz and not have to deal with guys that actually have skill. So remember that. A lot of it's not true. Like here we got all fiberglass. You can see there on the end on our concrete, so all the edges will stay perfect. Right now we got a little evidence here on my edge, but this is part of what's going to be cool about it, because the customer showed me what he wanted. And so I'm going to accent that and create that layer, which is so cool. And I'm going to take one layer off. Now this concrete's about 2 weeks old. I like waiting till 30 days to do the final polishing. You're going to see why. So without further ado, the magic of science, let's do some time lapse. So we're starting with the 50 grit, and you know, you can Google it if if I'm not explaining properly, and kind of do your homework on it. I have 3-4 minute videos, so I don't want a lot of details. I'm trying to get the brunt of it. So if there's something you don't understand, just leave a comment below, and I'm more than happy to answer any questions. All right, so now I'm going at 50, and keep the grinder flat. Let the weight go down. You can push a little on top, like gentle with your finger, with the handle, but not too much. And just keep going back and forth, up and down. Try not to stay in one place. And, you know, you can with the 50, if you're not careful, you can, you know, create a valley. And you don't want to do that when, you know, you have it nice and flat. So just follow what's flat. And now I'm jumping up to about 100. You go 50, 100. Now the 100 is still in the what I consider the grinding stage, and then after that, now I'm almost there. Now when I stop where I like it, like I say, okay, I want it right here because I don't want to go down to the rocks. The longer you go, you could go down the rocks. Now I'm going 200, and I'm just sanding. I'm just kind of like getting it buffed, and you can really feel the difference on that. And that's the other thing, just be careful of when you do it. You know, you can always go backwards a bit, but if you take too much off, you can't add the concrete back after. And there you go, 200. Now I'm doing the other one, the exact same process. And I'm just showing from a different camera angle because I got this thing sped up pretty good. So I just keep wetting, and you know, it is splashing on me, and I'm running at about a third of the speed of the machine. I'm not sure of the revolutions, and I apologize for that. I just have a nice feel for it. So, and that's the look. Now here we're filling the pores, no matter how good you are with it, and you'll see them at 200. And I'm using On this one, sort of a cement mixed with sand. I can't get non-sanded grout in our area. Some of it's really hard to get. And I'm just mixing two and just forcing it in there. Because the non-sanded grout doesn't polish very well. But it also doesn't go into finer holes. So this is the hard thing to kind of come up with. So I'm just taking my time forcing it in. I added a little plaster size to it. If you're not sure about it, just Google plasticizer and add like a couple of drops, because I want it really to suck in there. I want the cement to go into those holes. Could you just trowel it on without forcing it to get it in there? I don't think so. It would just sit on top of the pinholes. If you get liquid enough, you could see when it goes into the pinholes and kind of pops back up. So this is probably the worst state, because if you don't get those pinholes properly filled, you're not going to get polished. And so really take your time on this. The other thing is the time. Like when you fill this, you can't like this next day start polishing. Try to stall for a few days minimum before you polish this out after. Remember too, I stopped at 200, so that's where I'll be starting with this stuff. So I'm hoping, like, if you started, let's say, at 50 grit and we're going there, a lot of times with the sand, if you go that hard, you'll just rip out the sand. You won't polish it or cut it off at the top. And I'm talking like a grain of sand, whatever that is, 20 microns or something silly, something small like that. So do this near the end, and you'll get much better results. All right. And hopefully I'm making sense on this, because it takes a long time to learn this and kind of getting a feel, because each pour is different from the other pour. So it actually, concrete humbles you. You know, you think you got it mastered, and then all of a sudden it shoots you a new look, and you're like, oh, I didn't know this. So the next day, after laying it dry, actually it was about 3 days, I sanded off. I'm just using a 220 there, just taking the layer off, because like a sand, because like if you saw how I put it, I really put it into the pores, and it's coming out decent. I'm not taking the grinder because I want to hit a 400. I want to polish. I'm afraid of the grinding because I'm going to take it out. It's going to be too aggressive. All right, so I had an acid stain, which was like a coffee. He saw what I did something in the showroom about 8 years ago. He liked that look. And, you know, needless to say, when you do something like with acid, you're not going to be able to copy it exactly. So what I did is I gave a shot directly acid staining in here with the stain. Now what I've done is just thinned out the acid stain and added a little light gray here. And what I'm hoping is I'm going to get, you see here, I'm going to get this nice effect. I'm hoping it's going to burn in. Now I've got to make a decision whether it's almost time for me to go home. Am I going to let this sit all night and clean it up tomorrow? And then that's about it. Like, I could show you here the stain I picked up. They had a clearance. It was all quick right, you know, and I kind of now I'm taking the polishing. When I say polishing, now I'm doing 400. I don't want to. I'm just cleaning up the acid stain and the other stain, and you know, we're like, I don't want like the acid stain to define it. All I'm trying to do is create a shadow underneath the gray that I'm trying to create, so that it doesn't look like a blob of, concrete. All I could say on this part is really take your time, because when you start hitting the 400, if you don't grind all the way perfect and you skip it, and then when you start to jump up to 800, you won't be having 800. You'll be seeing the scratches left over from the 400, and you'll know. It's kind of a feel, like once you do it a few times, you know when because each concrete will be harder or less, or maybe not even ready to polish. Usually at this stage, you minimum you want the concrete at 3 weeks, even if you've added all kinds of super plasticizers, whatever, you will not get it polished. When I say the concrete, okay, now this piece is the same thing as the last one. I'm going 400 and 800, and at the same time we're cleaning it. On the last one, we're adding a neutralizer for the concrete, because the concrete stain is in there and it won't stop working. So I added a little ammonia with water, and you can add baking soda too. Just, you can't rinse it off, but on this, if you look on my edges, they're still pretty rough, so that's going to stay in there. That's actually going to work in there. I'm hoping that's going to give this wild effect on my edge when I'm finished. So I'll know at the very end how well that process worked. And we do look like we have a really nice brown stain. Let's see, are we going to leave it like that, or are we going to fix this bad boy? So I was hoping with the cola it would have been more black, but it kind of went brown because I used a stain to kind of like block it, so it kind of came out a little different than what I wanted to. Now I've ended up with a little browner than I thought. Like the coffee was supposed to be coffee, like black without milk, so it ended up a little more brown. I have like the lines like I wanted here. All right, so I'm going to give it might not be like acid stain, what you see, like sometimes people just leave it there and it just turns out to this blob and go, oh wow, it's not concrete, or whatever. I'm going to do it a little different now. I'm going to fade it. I'm going to get my acid stain. Then I'm going to get a little, hopefully the gray's going to take. I'm not sure if the gray's going to take now. But I got to take this, then I got to send a picture to my customer, because it didn't end up exactly like in the showroom. All right, because it's not an exact size. So I'm going to take a little bleach here, right? I want it to fade is what I'm after. All right. Now taking a little here. This is not as much. I got it watered. And I got a rag of water. I'm not sure where my rag of water is. I'm going to go get a rag of water. All right. Get a little of this bleach around. I can already smell it. There's a lot. All right. Kind of fade it a bit, eh? And bring up the... All right. A little bit of water dilutes it a bit. Okay, now I got that. I'll put that in here. Now I'm just going to put this directly on. The bleach is acting as a barrier. I just want to do a little. You see it's starting to work in a few spots. Okay, now I'm put a little bit here. I don't need as much here, but I got to kind of, even though I think this one's turning out nicer than the other one. Now I have no idea, like I'm going to be quite honest with you here. I have no idea how this is going to turn out. All right. And I'm not going to leave it overnight like I did with the other one. Because this isn't really what the final one I'm going to do. I'm just going to put some streaks here. See what I'm doing now? Alright. I'm going to do the same over here now. If you're in a small garage, and you're doing this, or in a small area, you're in a big shop, you can smell the fumes like it's actually burning. So make sure you get some ventilation. Because right now, I've just created a chemical reaction, and you could definitely smell this. All right, and this to my customer, he's an engineer, and he kind of. Sometimes cabinet makers and engineers have two different brains. And so he's kind of entrusted me. But sometimes it can be a little skittish for what we're doing. I'm liking that one better than the bar. All right. I'm going to put this back in the holder. I'm going to put a little more of this here. But I'm not leaving it overnight. I said that, I'm going to say it again. You saw yesterday, I did the bottle. Now, kind of want to create like a little darker, a little lighter. I think we're going to have an early lunch. And we can feel it working now. Now I'm just going to let it do its thing. And then after that, I have a little bit of gray, a light gray. And what I'm going to do is put that in. And hopefully this is going to give me my look, the look I want. But this is a brown right now. And if you're here, you can really smell it. So, with a little bit of stress and a little bit of horseshoes up my ass, I have a gray here now. I've rubbed it in. I turn that into this. Now, you might say, why didn't you just leave it alone? Well, I've created the look I wanted, if I'm making sense. Now I'm going to do the final polish. I'm going to put a diversifier here. Now if I've done this correctly, I'm going to have like, not looking down like it's a gray. Like right now you can start seeing the veins there and starting to come out. Alright? Like I would never get it if I didn't try this, but it was a big risk doing it. I'm not going to lie here. This was brutal. Now I'm going to do this. So basically, what I did, if I can give you my steps. Lots of rags. I used a little light gray. Right? And what I did is I added a dab of acid stain into it. Now I'm just going like this, and I'm going to go rub this in. Now it's not going to change it. When I'm after, I just want to block it before I put this stuff down. I want this stuff going in all the way. And I'm working it there. Whatever pores aren't filled, I'm just filling it with this stuff. And I got it ever so slightly. When you get one hairline crack right there, you get always two. So there's a hairline right there, and keeping support. It's just luck, you know. But it's easy to hide. Like, you know, it's not that bad. Now I'm going to stay away from the edges. I'm not really going to get into that just now. I just want to get my top and get the color. Because an edge is easy to do. Like, I can tint it and I can do things, but I don't really know the top of my color yet. So I want to make sure it blends in, and I filled all the pores. And I used the 5-minute concrete stuff over there, the quick rate, to fill the edges on the final one. I had a lot of holes because of the, it's right there, the hydraulic stuff. That's what I use to fill the edges. And now I'm taking that stain, just rubbing it down until it dries. It hasn't changed it much. You gotta remember, concrete is very porous, so there's a lot of cool things you can do. It's kind of ironic, eh? I took the gray out, now I'm putting it back in. But the only thing with what's gonna happen, from what I did, is that it's not gonna stop. Like I'm still gonna get a chemical reaction for a couple of weeks. And you can see it's starting to go a little gray, eh? Yeah. I'm not going to polish the inside here. I'm going to get it clean, but I can't. I don't really have the equipment to get in there doing it. Okay, now that stain's nice and dry, and I'm happy with it. I'm going to make sure cleanest part of my rag here. Okay, now the last part. What I'm trying to do with the copper is have it polished, but also not have like a static color. You know what I mean? What I mean by that is a blob. So I'm just using a regular stain. It's a little thick. I'm just gonna rub it in. I don't care about the, I don't care about the edges here. A little bit leaking off. I got a little happy there. The back edge, I don't care. It's only the front that's going to be seen. Because right now, the concrete is drinking it up. And you can see some of the pores just opening up because some of the pores were, when you polish, you create a fine dust, and the dust is so fine that it fills the pores. And sometimes they come back and haunt you. So now I'm just going to go like that. That's about how much I want right here. Maybe a little less. It's about, I've been at it since about 10:30 now until about, and it's about 2:30, so I'm putting a lot of, you put a lot of effort into it, and it's kind of holding us up because I gotta go make a couple doors and the legs for this, and I just wanted to get this right because this stuff you have to let sit for a couple days. So I'll be working this weekend to get this project out the door. It's not a big project, but it's So I'm going to take this and take off some of the excess. All right. Now see what I'm doing? I'm just kind of wiping it in there. But you can't do this when it's dry, eh? So remember that. Open it up here. I want it to dry into the rag, so kind of get a dry spot. I'm going to run down it, go get another rag. This is real time, man. I mean, if I wanted to, like, I could go more, like I could polish a bit and then get a little bit of brown. But I'm a little afraid to do it. Now, here we go. I got a drier one. I'm just going to go. I'm not pressing hard here. Try not to get. Try not to get this stretch. Try not to get it bunched up. Mm-hmm. Then after this, I get a diversifier. I'm going to get the pause our camera. Believe it or not, we don't have a lot of batteries, and I'll show you the diversifier in about 2 minutes. So shut it down. I put a diversifier on it, and you see it's really starting to come out. What the diversifier does, it has a chemical reaction down below, because if you take a microscope here, you would see it like there'd be all this look like a sponge. So it brings everything up, and then I'll do the final polishing. Usually you do final polishing at 200. In my case, I'm going to do it at 3,000. You got to put enough that it's, kind of like soaked in, And after this, I'm going to stop and let it dry for a couple of days. Because, like I got a lot of stuff on here. Get my edges, like I got it all filled there, let that dry before I take a grinder to it. And then after that, we'll give the final sealer. I'm okay with this color. I like the other way before, it would have worked, but I do like this. And I'm going to take a little on that edge. Just keeping it soaked. And I'm going to walk away now. I'm happy with that. And then, I probably broken about 5, 6, maybe 20 rules that people have done. But this is the beauty of it, of concrete. You could do so much with it, eh? But I did tell him though, I've been to more concerts than he has, so he started to laugh. Because he has some Mick Jagger, some classic, you know, Tina Turner pictures and classic rock, so. I don't know right now, me leaving this music on, I've broken a few copyright infringements, but this kind of music we listen to through the shop all day. Time is long, eh? And we listen to Sea Fox only because our station sucks. They do classic rock, but they just play John Fogerty 24/7. And there's more to classic rock than that. So I'm hoping Jeff and the gang see this video, give us a plug. We're on the other end of the country. We've been listening to you guys for, oh God, how long now? 10 years? 12, something like that. So we kind of know, you know, you guys have calmed down a bit. You're not as aggressive as you used to be. So I'm just going again, just make the church nice and soaked. And then I'm going to walk away. And letting it, you know. At this stage right now, I skipped a step, and after the diversifier, I did my final polishing. I used a 1500 and a 3000, because if you remember before, when we did some of the staining, we were at 800. Now, I'm taking this in between the coats of the sealer. The sealer is like a floor sealer. I really have great results with it. I love how it polishes. So I'm just taking all the bubbles out, because I really want it micro thin, and I'm trying to fill the last microscopic pinholes that are there. So I'll get that really nice, wet, deep sheen, which can be so elusive to get, because the higher you start getting into 3000, you can see one little pinhole. You like see it a mile away, so it can be very disheartening and very frustrating. Now I'm using an applicator. I'm just putting a very thin coat on there, and I'm just trying to push it ever so even and go back and forth, because if you're getting it the second time, it can bead off a bit. So just work it in. And what's great about it, because of the water base, when it's soft, it softens it and burns right into it, which is really cool. So I really enjoy concrete. So I want to thank you for watching this video. Thank you for supporting us. Please subscribe if you haven't. We need the support. We're halfway there to getting paid, which means I get a salary of maybe $10 a week. That's another story. I'm not doing it for the money. So please subscribe, forward this on Facebook, and don't copy, be original. That's all I have to say. Thank you for watching.